You are the cornerstone and the rock. And we say together, you have called us for such a time as this. Amen. It's over on the left. On the right, excuse me. Right of the page.
Previous page.
There you go. All right. There it is. There it is. All right. So let us pray together. O God, you call your servants by ventures which we cannot see the ending, by paths as yet untrod, through perils unknown. Give us faith to go out with good courage, not knowing where we go, but only that your hand is leading us and your love supporting us. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. So with that call to order, meeting logistics, this is being live streamed and right, Brian? Yeah, live streamed and recorded. So if there are questions, I will repeat them just so that we have a copy of them or the people listening can hear. So with that, I want a certification of the quorum. So I know the quorum is required to be 25, and I guess that we obviously have more than that, so the quorum is certified, and so the meeting is called to order. I do want to acknowledge several people this year, specifically our outgoing council members, Vice President Robin Smith, so thank her for her service and where she stepped in. And then council members Jessica Lundeen, who served 1 year, and then of course they're moving to Italy, and Finda Soli, who's coming off of council. So thanks to them for their service. I'd also like to thank the endowment committee members who are coming off, and that is Danny Hahn, Bobby Gonzalez, and Mark Moran. A big thank you to our church and day school staff. As you see in the finances, we are in a strong position. A lot of that was also thanks to Barb and the grants that she applied for, but also to our staff who has stayed steadfast with us, certainly adapted through the pandemic. We are, and I'll tell you, for me today, it's just wonderful to see so many of us in the same place together again. It really, feels like we're coming back. Thank you to our worship and music team for the continuity and flexibility, to do the in-person and the virtual, as well as the IT staff and Brian and Will and Tom Renkevens and all those who have stepped in. A thanks to the Fellowship and Hospitality. We certainly have had a number of celebrations, so again, that just feels like, again, we're back and able to worship and fellowship as the body of Christ. And then a thank you to our call committee. As they are called and engaged and discerning of who has God already chosen to be the new pastor for Holy Trinity. So they are, what Pastor Robin of the Senate will say is they're doing active listening, and we'll get a small update from Mark today. But the people that are on the call committee are Mark Moran, Carol Plotnick, Jill Porco, Shaylee Ribeiro, Stephen Calloway, and Michael Gonzalez. So a thank you for their willingness to serve. So I wanted to do a short COVID-19 update. I know there's a lot of places that masks are not required. I looked again yesterday. Our positivity rate is still over, it's about 8%. So we continue to look at this as a council every month. As soon as we feel like we can, I don't want anybody to feel like they can't worship their God because they don't feel safe. We certainly have food out there. That's kind of, people can decide whether or not they want to be in that situation, or whether they want to take their mask off. But I just really feel that we need to make sure that people feel like this is a safe place, to worship. So we continue to look at that and reevaluate that every month. So the next item I have is the acceptance of the meeting minutes from the 2021 annual meeting, and those were in what was distributed. So I'd ask if there's a motion to accept.
Move.
So Dale motioned, Barb second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So acceptance carries. And then acceptance of the meeting minutes from the January 22 special congregational meeting, where we talked about revising some of the budget and the roof. So do I have a motion to accept those minutes? Mike Plotnick moved. Do I have a second? And Kathy Pross second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So the motion carries. So with that, let me turn it over to Barb for the treasurer and financial reports. And Cindy Salopek is not here today, as many of you know. Her father and Crystal's father passed away suddenly this week. So over to Barb. Thanks.
Our reports are actually in the, is this on? Our reports are in the annual report. I just have a couple comments. One, as Stephanie indicated, we are really doing pretty good. The church, our giving is a little bit down, but so are our expenses, so that's good, except for the roof, of course. And the day school is doing well because of all the grants. And I would make a correction. Actually, Randy Williams from the day school staff applied for most of the grants. There's a lot of stuff about the day school in those applications that I don't know. So big thanks to Randy Williams, and she just told me that it sounds like there might be another grant coming. So we have expenses to justify all the grants, but we haven't actually had to spend all that money because we have income coming in as well. So the day school has really helped us along financially. The other comment I would make, we have two big things that we still need to do. One is the sound system and the AV system for the sanctuary, and the other is a lift/elevator for access to the downstairs. That's stuff we need to keep in our minds and start thinking about. And we have a mortgage that will not be paid off this fiscal year, but will be paid off next fiscal year. So we're coming up on the end of our mortgage. Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. So with that, that brings us to nominating the candidates for council. And so who the nominating committee has put forth is Tom Renkevens for vice president, Steve Smith for a member at large, and Victor McKay to fill the 1 year term that's left on Jessica Lundeen's term. And then we still have another at-large position that is open. So with that, I'd like to open it to any nominations from the floor. Is there anybody who feels called to be on council or that wants to be considered for one of these positions? Okay, hearing none then, can I have a motion to accept the candidates who have been proposed for council? Mark Moran has moved. Can I have a second? Erica Westrom has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then the second is we have a slate of candidates for the endowment committee, and that is William Jones, Karen Brownell, and Dale Lehman. So again, I'd open the floor. Is there anybody who wants to be nominated? We have 3 positions. 2 people are staying on council, Cindy Wagner and John Peterson. So is there anybody else who wants to be considered? Seeing none, then can I have a motion to accept the candidates for the endowment committee? Erica moved, and I second. And seconded. So all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the next item of business is the acceptance of the 2022-2023 budget. Again, those were sent out, so we don't have, I don't have hard copies of those here. And I guess, Bart, is there anything else that you want to say about that? Are there any questions about the budget? Okay, then can I have a motion to accept the budget as okay. So all in favor of accepting the budget that's been proposed by council? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. The next item I have is the Senate Assembly. So Alan Ramsey, Stephanie Smith, and Vicar Justina went to the Senate Assembly May 12th through the 14th in Ocean City. The highlight of the assembly was that Bishop Gould was reelected as the bishop on the first ballot. And so that if there's any, I know they gave a report during one of the services. So if there's anything else that you guys are interested in finding out, I would encourage you to get with Alan Ramsey or Stephanie Smith. And it was videotaped and is available on the Senate website. So then actually I don't have this on the agenda, but I did want to give Mark Moran a couple minutes just to talk about the call committee process. And I think Pastor Robin has cautioned us, right, that we really need to be respectful of the confidentiality of the call committee, but certainly understanding where we are in the process is important. So, Mark.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mark. Oh.
Great. Testing. I don't know if this works. Is this thing on? That's an old joke from a movie. I don't remember. So, call committee. We have 6 of us that have embarked on this effort, and I'll just take 2 minutes to share a little bit about the process and where we are right now. I think like many went in there and say, interview a couple candidates and hire, just like you're doing for. Now, it doesn't work that way. And I think, Stephanie and Pastor Lehman opened it up with very much how we are going into this, that God has chosen our next pastor, our next spiritual leader. It's our role to discern that in this process. And that's what we're doing right now. We are starting with hearing the voice of the congregation, and that's going to be via a survey. And surveys, we are learning quickly, it's a little harder to put together a good survey than one might think. I have a new appreciation for the people at my work that do this for a living. I wish I could just hire them for this, but it's a little bit of a workout to do that. But we're in that process right now. We're going to be reviewing a good draft of it this week, and hopefully by the end of the month, we'll have that out to everyone, and we will be hounding everyone to complete it, okay? So nobody gets a pass on it. At the same time, when you do this, try to express yourself. We're going to have some multiple choice ones for those that don't like to do a lot of writing and stuff like that, but we're also going to have some areas in there to express yourself so that you can really tell us what is important to you. Reflect back on what Pastor Tani did in her role, what you think needs to be carried forward, what we need to do to go in some new directions, and really put some thought. Our work in doing this well will be largely determined by how good that input is. From that point forward, we will go through, and I won't go through all of there's a whole bunch of steps. I won't go through the checklist. We will get together a ministry site profile, and that'll let people know that we're looking, and we'll have access to people that are also looking, and to, find a match. That process, as Stephanie said, that will be very confidential. That's not going to be something where anybody gets kind of a sneak peek or anything on that. As you can imagine, other congregations, it's not necessarily best to have it known that maybe they're, pastors looking around and stuff like that, so we have to just be very cognizant of that as we go through the process. At some point, and this may be many months down the road yet, we will bring to the council and then to the congregation who we as a group feel God has called to be our next leader. And that's it for now.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Will the service be anonymous?
That's a great question. And we actually haven't figured that out. We don't need you to put your name on them, to say, okay, I said this. We are trying to figure out a way that we know that we got one from everyone without necessarily being attached. So we actually are trying to figure that out. I think most of the survey software gives us an opportunity to do that. The paper ones, it's a little less certain how we exactly do that. So we want to know that you gave something to us. You don't want to think that you have to have your name on what you. And we haven't figured that quite out, the how. But he was going to come. And Michael. All right. Anything else? Anybody else? I've used up more than my time, but that's not unusual.
So then the other thing that I wanted to update the congregation on is that there are two groups that have come to us and asked to use space within Holy Trinity. One is the Vietnamese Living Faith Baptist Church, and so we have it up there, and so they want to use the church for a good portion of Sunday afternoons. So we've looked at this and we think we've deconflicted it with any of our space. As we have in all of our building use agreements, if there's something that Holy Trinity has happening, then that will take precedence, and we will work with that congregation to find an alternate space to use during that time. So but they're planning to use the sanctuary about 1:30 to 3:30 on Sundays. And then we have, but be here from about noon till 4 or 5, and they would start with Sunday school, so they'd be using space that we've, essentially that we're done with, for the Sunday. And then the Spanish congregation, which is about 30 to 40 attendees, they're looking to use the sanctuary Tuesday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and then Sunday afternoon after the Vietnamese congregation. So if you have any, concerns with that, please let me know. The Vietnamese congregation is looking to start August 21st. The Spanish congregation probably sometime in June. I think as soon as we can get a building use agreement in place, they'd like to come back. And again, they were a church that was here. So again, I think we feel like it's being a good steward of what God's given us. And so if other congregations can use the space when we're not, that is a way that we are supporting other ministries. The Vietnamese Living Faith Baptist Church is actually 2 or 3 or 4 houses down this way, and so they have a house that then they use for their worship service, and they've just outgrown it. So they plan to be here probably about 2 to 3 years, and during that time they're going to be rebuilding and enlarging their worship space down the road. Again, kind of want to open up to any questions. Okay, well then, Sherry.
I just wonder how that's going to impact the school. Are they using classrooms downstairs? Because usually the cleaning is done on Saturday. That's my only thought. I think it's a wonderful idea, but with COVID still around.
Yeah. No, so that's a requirement, is that both of them have to clean the space when they are done using it, And something else I've talked to them about is if we find that it's not clean enough, and that we have to increase the cleaning service that we have, that will then change the rent that's charged, right? That cost would essentially be passed on to them. So I at least kind of want to give them the option initially to do the cleaning themselves. Or if they come to us and say, we want to use the space and we don't want to do the cleaning, we'll go to the cleaning company and see what would that delta be. Because you're right, they would be in here on Sundays. We've had the day school cleaned Saturday morning. And then the other thing we talked about was Altar Guild, and the Spanish congregation doesn't touch anything on the altar. So I think we've worked out those concerns as well.
Yeah, I think I have another one. Okay, on the same subject about cleaning and traffic. I was more interested in traffic, not inside traffic. I meant how many people would be coming? Do they anticipate coming to their?
So the Vietnamese Living Faith congregation is about 70 attendees, and they said that's actually broken up to some of the younger people are English speaking, so they actually will have two services going on at the same time. One in the music room for the English speaking, the younger folks, and then one in Vietnamese here in the sanctuary.
So anticipated attendance on these events about 70.
About 70 on Sunday mornings, right. And then the Spanish congregation is 30 to 40 attendees. And I think, did anybody get a count of what, I think we had about 80 this morning? Yeah, so I did tell them there are times when we will have something and they will need to then use the music room during that time. So we will deconflict if we have beer brats in the Bible, if we're going to have, say, the women's Christmas gathering, any of those. So we'll, need to be in communication, and they will relocate for those times as needed. So I think I saw Betsy and then Dr. Lynn. So their plan is 12:30 to 1:15 doing Sunday school in the rooms downstairs, and then they wouldn't be back up here in the sanctuary until 1:30. And so again, we thought if we have because we are planning to have the two services in the, starting back in the fall, so that would give us 11:15 to about 12:30, and then, it still gives us an hour to when they're using it. They don't plan to use the altar, and that he's told me whatever's on the altar they will leave and will not touch. Well, you know what? That was the Spanish congregation, mostly because I was worried about Saturday nights. I will ask that of the Vietnamese congregation. But again, we probably then need to who goes to late service and that is, I think, a need of and it's been a need for a while, of Altar Guild for the late service. I'm sorry, Dr. Lynn and then Rad.
There are times at Christmas and Easter that we need both rooms, and that's going to be a conflict.
So we'll need to be in communication with them ahead of time and tell them, yeah, so the question was, when we need both rooms, when we're doing practice beforehand, then more than likely their services will be, canceled on those days. And Friday night, when we have Good Friday service, if they're planning to use it Friday night, they'll either need to adjust that time so that they're, after us, more than likely. And Rad?
So I was just curious, looking at that Pure Bible with dinners, we moved everything upstairs for access, and you mentioned or mentioned an elevator or lift going in, is there a time frame for that when we have that bottom space available for these activities?
That gives us more flexibility. Yeah, but the question was the lift. So the lift is something I actually think we need a team of people, 3 or 4 people to take and lead. So if there are people who are interested in being in that, we've had the money donated, we've had the money in the budget. It's really just been what do we want to do? And I know the lift was planned to be out here in this area, right? So there's parts of it that are kind of already blocked off. But if there's people who are interested in being on that, committee, I think that would be very helpful to continue to move that forward. And I guess while I'm on that, we are expecting more proposals in this week on the sound system. So that's, those are the 2 pieces where we want to, move that forward as well. And Brian has talked to the Vietnamese congregation about using a Chromecast so that they're not on our network and that type of thing. So we talked through some of that. Yes, Kay Miller and then Pat Montrose.
Plugging, I mean, just think about that, cleaning and all that, it's a lot of people.
Yeah, so, and that we may decide then that we need to increase the cleaning to add a Sunday evening or something like that, and then we would then pass that cost on. Pat?
Has there been talk about their use of the musical instruments and the sound system?
So the question was, have the use of the sound system and the musical instruments? The Spanish congregation has their own sound system here, so they would plan to use that. The Vietnamese congregation has asked to use our sound system.
So will there be one of our technicians available, or?
So our plan was for Brian to train them on how to use it. And Brian, I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add to that.
Not really, I just see what's in the question. But yeah, we'll be able to make it work. I'm not too worried about it either way. So the gentleman said they have their own, the Vietnamese congregation has their own IT tech stack, so I'm going to get in touch with them as we finalize this to make that work out.
Yeah, so the plan is that they would bring their own laptop and have a Chromecast that plugs in so that they're off of our network. They can't necessarily get into any of, into our network.
So there would be no danger of viruses, and I'm assuming that they have liability insurance?
Yes. Anybody who uses this has to submit the liability insurance. That's true of, NA and GA that we already have here as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I do appreciate the discussion because, I want to make sure that people are aware and we're all on the same page and we've thought through all the potential issues. Yes, Pat?
Going back to the liability, does that, would that also cover any injuries to persons that might occur?
Yes.
Okay. I just don't want us to be liable for something like that.
Yeah. The second part of the question was the musical instruments. I would imagine they would use the piano. So again, I think that's something we need to have a further conversation on as to what would we want them to use. And, again, if there's any damage, then, that would need to be covered by them. Dale?
Yeah, our use agreement requires one proof of insurance and then also listing Holy Trinity as an additional insured. So that covers us in the blanket policy, just so everybody knows. So that would include, they break something, it's covered. They're liable, right, exactly.
You break it, it's fine.
Yeah, so for the recording, our insurance covers us to be named on their insurance policy as well, so that we are fully covered. Vicar Justine, did you have something?
Yeah, so they had asked when I did the walkthrough with them, on certain occasions, celebrations, they do liturgical dance, and they wanted to be able to use the top part, so they were asking if they could move the altar and the podium to do that. So that's
Okay. Okay. Yeah, there are times we've moved it. Okay. Yes, Kay? If there's, yeah, so if there's a wedding, if there's anything at Holy Trinity, it takes precedence, right? So if there's a wedding and we have to when we're going to do a rehearsal on Friday night, then the Spanish congregation has the option to cancel that night or move to the music room. Yeah, and we have that in all of our use agreements as well, that you know, we have kind of, you know, first right of refusal, and we'll let them know if there's any impacts. Yes, Pat?
Building on what Vic and Christina just said, in terms of, I assume that the microphone jack under the altar is still in use. No.
No.
Then that's
No.
okay. I just know that it's kind of delicate when you're moving the altar.
Yeah, it's
If that's no longer in use, no problem.
no, it's broken, and that's one of the things we're looking to get fixed with the new sound system. Yeah, my hope is that the sound system, I mean, you know, of course, there's prices have gone up, there's supply chain issues, so my hope is we have it in place by September. I was originally trying to push for Music Sunday next week, and you know, that's not going to happen. Which to everybody's, I think, right, gives everybody a little bit more. We have more time to do training and figure it all out. Okay, well, yes, yeah, we will. And I know sometimes it's been property, so that's something that we do need to work through. I mean, I know who the two people, you know, Pastor Edgar and then Gwen has been the person that I've been dealing with. But yeah, we need to, and even for, you know, Nicole will certainly have those contacts as well. But yes, we'll make sure that there's a POC and a backup, right, for us and for them. Good suggestion. Any other business or questions? Okay, I think then with that, we are ready for a closing prayer. If one of you would do the honors.
Stand for closing prayer. Close with the morning prayer. Gracious and holy God, we give you thanks for the Spirit to be upon us as the people of God. Strengthen us and strengthen the bonds we have with other congregations that we meet here, and be provided with the use of this beautiful building. Keep us safe on our way as we go forward, and as you have taught us to pray, our Father,